Welcome to the Profiled Corner. Today we'll be looking at some push blocks and push sticks to make certain operations on the table saw safer, as well as the jointer, a router table, and at various other places. I have a couple standard push sticks that I use in the shop. They look like this. At least one style looks like this. I've misplaced all the push sticks of the other style, so I'll need to recreate those. The unfortunate thing is that sometimes I need to cut stock that's narrower than 3/4 of an inch, which is what this material is that I cut the push sticks from. And so you'll see here that the ends of the push stick end up getting gouged. And the reason why I use wood push sticks rather than plastic push sticks is because running the blade into a plastic push stick could cause that push stick to explode, shatter, and scatter plastic pieces all over the place, including your hands, and could cause your hand then to contact the blade. So in addition to these wood push sticks, I also use various push blocks in the shop. I showed in the past, in the Surfacing Four Sides video, that I was using the Grr-Ripper Plus by Milescraft push blocks on the jointer. And I mentioned that these have drop-down feet that are supposed to be used to grab onto the end of the board, and then when you're using another push block in the center of the board, this is supposed to go back up inside. The unfortunate thing is that due to design failure, the screw backs out while the push pad is being used on the jointer. And that causes this part, a spring, and also this part to fall loose, potentially landing into the jointer blade, causing all sorts of damage. So I've completely removed these because they've fallen off 2 or 3 times on both of the push blocks. In addition to these push blocks, I also bought more or less a generic brand from Amazon in case the Milescraft push blocks did not work. So far, the Milescraft push blocks have been working perfectly fine, so I may use these at the router table or some other location at a point in the future. I could even use them on the bandsaw or some other tool. Several years ago, when I got my first 10-inch radial arm saw, which was almost 35 years ago, it came with some other push blocks that the previous owner of that saw had. I think that that other person that owned the saw got scared using the radial arm saw, and he completely gave up woodworking, because I also received some Jorgensen clamps with that deal. Anyway, these are the push blocks that I received with that radial arm saw, and the design on the bottom of the push blocks has changed quite a bit over the years. Originally, it was just a black pad, and the previous owner glued some sandpaper onto the bottom of the push block, trying to get it to hold onto the board better. Things have changed quite a bit, and now they use much more sticky rubber material on the bottom of the push blocks. Here's another one that I also received for free with a radial arm saw, and it's in pretty bad shape. I should probably toss this out. So today, we need to create some new push blocks, because I've got a couple push blocks or push sticks rather, that I've used in the past that are damaged. So I need to replace them. And I've got a design here of one that hasn't been damaged yet. And so what I've done is I've taken that and drawn it onto a 1/2 inch thick piece of black walnut. This board measures 13 3/4 of an inch long, and it measures 2 5/8 wide. This design is based on a design that we had used in woodshop class way back in high school. and I created this from memory, and I've been adapting it ever since. The original version didn't have quite as long of a piece here. It had more of a short nose. I extended this out so that I'm able to put additional pressure on boards as they're being pushed through the saw. And it helps to keep my hand and my fingers at least 4 inches away from any spinning blade at all times. So that's good for safety, to keep your fingers and your hands and all other body parts at least 4 inches away from any spinning blade. So in addition to that design, I also used a different style push stick, which was also based on a design that was used in my high school woodshop class. You probably won't be able to see this outline, but we'll cut it out later on. So first we're going to head over to my old scroll saw. It's an industrial rated scroll saw, and we'll cut the board. Okay, this is my Yates American industrial scroll saw. It takes 6-inch long pinless scroll saw blades. It should be all set up right now. It's actually set up for slightly thicker material, but we will be able to use it. So I want to cut this pattern out at the scroll saw. Let's get started. Okay, so here's the first push block. It's kind of fun seeing this old technology working so flawlessly. I picked this up at an auction, and you wouldn't believe what I paid for it. It had a rusty table, the motor was seized up, and I fixed all that. I added grease to it, and it works flawlessly. I paid a total of $10 for it at an estate auction. That's just unbelievable. This thing has huge capacity. I believe it's a 24-inch throat, maybe even larger than that. And it just does a beautiful job. But you did notice that this board was tending to float up and down. And that's because I have this guide set too high. And it was allowing this piece to float up in the air. As I said, it was set up for 3/4 inch material, and this is only 1/2 inch thick. Okay, so I've got a few more of these to cut, but I'm going to head over to my 1946 bandsaw to do that. Okay, we're at the 1946 Delta Milwaukee 14-inch bandsaw, and we're ready to get started. I have 2 push block stocks taped together so I can cut them both at the same time. With this saw, I have it upgraded so that it has about a it used to have a 6-inch cutting depth, but now it has about a 12-inch cutting depth. I've also done some other upgrades to this to make it much more functional than what it was originally. Right now, the blade is not tensioned. I don't leave the blade tensioned in this so that I don't ruin the bandsaw wheels. So I need to add some attention. So I need to spin this wheel that's up on top 3 times to add tension to it. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Now it should be properly tensioned so that we're ready to go. Now what I can do, since I've got a guide on here, a rip fence, and I've tuned this saw to work with the rip fence. By the way, you can watch some videos by Alex Snodgrass. He'll teach you how to set up a bandsaw properly so that it works right, so that it cuts straight with a rip fence. You may want to check that out. He has several very good videos. Okay, so I have this rip fence set up so that it should cut the straight portion of the arm on this push stick. So we should be ready to go now. So that part's been cut. Now we're ready to move on. I made that cut first so that when I make this longer cut, this piece will fall away so I don't have to back out quite such a distance. Now we just have one more cut. So here's the result, and I'll grab the other one from the scroll saw. Here's the result. The cutting surface is a little bit rough, and that's just the way the bandsaw works. And if we compare it with the scroll saw looks like it was almost sanded in comparison. So here's the scroll saw. The cutting edge looks almost like it was sanded. And here's the bandsaw for comparison. Okay, I have to cut the other push stick now. Here's the other push stick. Blank for it. So let's get started with that. I have a long straight section that I can cut using the rip fence again. However, the rip fence is going to bump into the blade guard. So I need to move this up. And now I should be able to get over far enough. I have this set so that it's about a 1/2 inch this distance from the bottom, so that way this will work with 1/2 inch thick material. Okay, that's set now. That's not going to rub. So let's get started. Okay, because I didn't cut this short section here, I need to back this blade out all this long distance. And I don't want to do that while while the saw is turned on, because that could cause the blade to come off the wheel. So I turned off the saw so I can safely remove the blade from the cut. Okay, now I can get this out of the way. And for safety and also for quality of cut, I'm going to move this back down so that it's just above the board. Okay, now we're ready to start again. Okay, so there's the basic shape of the push stick, of the other design of the push stick, and you can see the cut is still a little bit rough here, especially compared to the scroll saw. I need to cut out this section here. I can do that a couple different ways. I can take that over to the drill press, and I can put a hole through here, and another hole through here, and then I can maybe use the jigsaw and come in and cut that. Or I can do that over at the scroll saw. I can just drill a hole through here and then insert the blade through there and then cut that out. I'll do that off camera so that we don't waste too much more time here. But that's the basics of creating push sticks using wood, and this is done to help protect your fingers while using the table saw, the bandsaw, the router table, or pretty much any other tool that you have in the shop. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Bye.